Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Talk. Josh here with Dave, and today we're switching things up a little. Instead of deep diving into just one movie, we're going to do kind of a first impressions roundup. Dave gave me a list of a handful of TV shows that are mostly new to me but have been buzzed about forever, and I figured why not bring you along for the ride. Today we are going to talk about the chaos that is Fargo Season 5, the stress cooker tension of The Bear, the surprising dark comedy of The Righteous Gemstones, and the eerily real-world satire of Common Side Effects, and the absolutely hypnotic, chilling first season of Severance. Each of these shows hit me a little differently. Some completely pulled me in, some I admired but didn't totally connect with, and some surprised me by just how relevant or weird they felt. It's a lot to unpack, from horror movie vibes in a school board meeting to a kitchen meltdown shot like a war movie to corporate dystopias that feel just a little too plausible for comfort. We'll break down the direction, the performances, and the vibe of each one, and whether or not they're gonna keep me coming back for more. So trust me, there are a few surprises along the way, and Dave's here too, ready to lead the charge with his takes and challenge me where needed, because, well, that's half the fun, right? So let's begin. Welcome back to Real Talk, where we talk about everything in entertainment. Today, I'm here, your host, Josh, with my co-host.
Hello, it's Dave.
And today, Dave is going to give me a lesson on one of my biggest blind spots in entertainment, and that is television.
Quality television. Anything good.
Right. I watch a lot of garbage TV. No, seriously though, I watch a lot of older TV. We mentioned it in the last episode, kind of as a joke. The episode when we were talking about Family Guy, and the line about when Tarantino last watched a TV show, the 70s or something.
70s, yeah.
That's kind of me. I don't watch many TV shows that are new, that are considered new and in. So Dave keeps me in line with that and gives me the
I have been pushing you to watch different shows that I think are well above standard for high quality. For so many years now, and to the point where the backlog of stuff I've asked you to watch is so extensive you couldn't ever get through it if you had all the free time in the world now. So
no, and that's absolutely true. But I will say that because of Dave, I did finally. He got me into it at the end of the first season, so I wasn't too far behind. But Breaking Bad, if it wasn't for Dave, I never would have watched Breaking Bad, and that led to Better Call Saul. Never would have watched Orange Is the New Black. I actually never would have watched Malcolm in the Middle if Dave hadn't convinced me. So he's my inline to episodic television. So with that being said, Dave gave me some homework. 5 television shows, 4 live action, 1 animated. Gave me a couple of episodes to watch. Dave, I'm going to let you take over. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about? Which of those of that list?
Well, obviously, and again, I think I specifically said you should watch Severance, but I didn't want that to be one of them, because the whole world is not only talking about Severance currently, right. But I think you'll get to it when you get to it.
No, Severance is the one that because I had started Severance before the lesson, I was able to just finish Severance, the first season. I haven't watched second season yet.
It's actually good, but I think I'm listening currently to the Severance podcast with Adam Scott and Ben Stiller, which is quite good, by the way.
All I'll say about Severance, it is worth the watch. It lives up to the hype, but there was something that offline, Dave and I were talking about it, and you said that it was very Kubrick, or Kubrick would have loved it, something like that. And as I watching it with that lens, looking at it with that like the endless hallways of the Overlook and that kind of feel, it totally hits on that very well. So if you go into it expecting that Kubrickian vibe, than
You could call it a slower pace, static shots, a lot of overhead. It's about the balance of the visuals. Like it's beautifully done in every respect. They had plenty of time to work on that first season, so they nailed it. You know,
and the first season is everything like minimalist production, like especially in the work environment. It is very stark white. There's a lot of that uncanny. Like, I recommend it. Go watch it. But the other four.
Can I ask you a question? One Severance thing, and I promise I won't.
No, you're good.
Did you notice, because the attention to detail for each and every shot that especially Ben Stiller and some of the other directors put in, that often they will frame a shot through like a split window where the window is divided? Mm-hmm. They'll basically just the window pane as two frames.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of attention to that detail.
And anybody who hasn't seen it, Severance, like, obviously when you sever from something, it creates a duality. Everything's the duality of things. There's the duality of the work life and the home life, and separating those things. So yeah, they really put that home a lot, but they don't do it in a heavy-handed kind of way. It's very subtle and always
somehow very organic. Somehow. Anyway, that's enough about Severance. So
the other shows: Fargo, The Bear, Righteous Gemstones, and Common Side Effects.
Now, let's start with The Bear, because I think the one with the next most hype after Severance would probably be The Bear. It won a bunch of awards. People were talking about it. I think it kind of came out of nowhere. Christopher Storer, I think, is the guy who made it. You know, his wife worked in restaurants, something akin to that, or his sister, I can't remember. But it's really good. Performances are all really solid, and it's got that gritty run and gun style filmmaking. You know what I mean? That it was made famously by the Sunny guy, the guy's doing Sunny in the beginning. Anyways, so I think I asked you specifically because you can't watch 4 seasons. I think there's 4 seasons.
4 or 5. It's a lot.
Yeah, that'd be too much to get caught up on at this point. So I very specifically said at least watch the first one so you have a bearing on who each person is.
Yep.
And then the 7th one.
Yes.
So again, specifically a reason for those 2, because I think you get a broad sense of what it is. Now, what were your thoughts on this?
So, I will say 2 things. The Bear is not for me. Okay. I didn't love it. I loved the cast. Jeremy Allen White, Ayo Edebiri are amazing. They are wonderful actors, actresses. They are great. And that episode 7, the chaotic one-shot sequence throughout the whole.
Yeah.
I love all of that. I just found myself like, I don't care. It's a fucking sandwich.
The stakes are too low, right? As it were. No pun intended.
Right. I recognize the craftsmanship. I get why people love this. The hype probably outweighed.
Yeah.
So
you're probably right.
Coming in too late, I probably would have liked this a lot better if season 2 was premiering tomorrow. And then I missed the
lot. I feel like that's what happens with a lot of shows. Game of Thrones, I feel the same way. I didn't catch it till too late. It's The Sopranos. We're crying out loud. Like, by the time I fell back, I'm like, this is great, but it's, but anywho, I understand that. That makes sense. Like, it is sometimes a little bit overly dramatic and gritty, and it's almost like it's forced in those ways. Like, I get all of those things.
And I really don't like the cousin. Something about him, I wasn't a fan.
He's going to pop up in a lot of stuff now. He's going to start popping up. He's in a lot of movies already. He's going to keep popping up everywhere.
When Ayo Edebiri accidentally stabs him in the butt, it was the best part of the episode.
Yeah. It was a great scene.
Anyway. So, yeah.
I respect that. I
get it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that 7th episode is because there's that one shot. The whole show is tense and stressful. Mm-hmm. Pretty much every episode has that thing in it, a little bit overly dramatic. It's, made for people who have a lot of, I don't want to say compassion, but maybe empathize a lot with people who have a lot of mental health issues, which is, again, I saw it from the beginning, so I think I probably see it with a different lens. I get that. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So anyways, glad you watched it at least. Now you know what the hype is about, even if it doesn't live up to it.
And this is something that I think both you and I say all the time. for a show to be good, for a show to be great, it doesn't have to be something that I like. It can be like the TV show. Speaking of the guy that I don't like, he's in Girls, TV show Girls. That show, I'm sure it's absolutely fantastic, but they're not talking to me.
No.
So I'm
Who's
not
in Girls? Who's in Girls?
Ebon Moss-Bacroc,
the cousin guy. I didn't watch Girls. I felt the same way. It wasn't for me. Like when Sex and the City was out years and years ago, I said this actually looks. I'm glad they're making it. I'm glad that people like it. It seems like it's written well, but I don't think it's the kind of. It's not really made for my taste, but I can still respect it for what it is.
Now, even
more
Stevens,
like Big Bang Theory, and I can have no respect for it. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Even Stevens, though, that's right up my alley.
There you go.
Even Stevens, man. Anyway, all right. So that's The Bear. We talked about Bear and Severance. What's the next one on our list?
Common Side Effects. Let's throw it as it's just a wild card. It's a random little thing. Now, here's the thing about Common Side Effects. It's a cartoon. But much like it's made by Greg Daniels and Mike Judge of Beavis and Butthead and The Office, and they're powerhouses in the industry. Mike Judge has never, in my opinion, made anything bad.
Nope.
Everything he's made is good. Some of it's great, in my opinion. Classic Office Space, Beavis and Butthead, and like I think early on when he was doing King of the Hill, also with Greg Daniels, I think they had said they didn't care if it was a cartoon or not originally.
Right.
They didn't want to work with a bunch of actors. They wanted to have control over everybody as much as possible and the characters.
Yes.
So that's where it became a cartoon. I feel like they wanted this one, Common Side Effects, to be the story driving everything, which is why it happens to be, a cartoon. I do think that the pharmaceutical industry, which is the bad guy in the movie, it's like 10 different things out there right now where they're going after big pharma. So, use that as you will. But what are your thoughts?
So let me start with the animation style, because I think that's where it is so odd to watch. And I don't mean odd in a bad way. Odd in that the characters, the people are all very much, they're Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, that animation style. But there is something weird in the background, everything that's going on behind them. It's this really hyper-realistic, blurred background. And it's really cool where it's breaking, it's doing two things at once. And for me, that was really engrossing. It really drew me in right from that. And then secondly, the themes, the story is, it's almost too real, right?
How much did you watch? How far did you
I've watched the first 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes, and I plan to. This one I'll finish probably over the weekend.
It's a quick watch. It goes through really fast.
It does go very quickly, and it's got a lot of fun. It's got little action sequences, the getaways, and that stuff, and that's all fun. But while we are all smart enough to know there is no miracle blue mushroom cure-all, however, if there was anything even remotely like that, you believe that this story could happen. It's not hyperbole. It's not beyond the realm. The vibe for me, it reminded me a lot of Idiocracy. Right. I want this to be satire. I want this to be fake, but I know that it's not really real. Yeah. And so I really like Common Side Effects. This one hit me where I'm at. So this one was
carries through. The whole season is so quick to get the. It's almost like they should have made 1-hour HBO episodes with a bigger budget, and they could have really pushed this thing out there. But I'm glad they're doing it. I mean, it's only 8 episodes, I think, 20 minutes a piece. But each one drags right into the next one's quickly. So
but again, that it takes me back, because we were kids with Beavis, or teenagers with Beavis and Butthead, and originally with
I basically was Beavis when I was in high school, and I'm not touting that as a positive. I'm not saying how awesome I was. I'm saying it's unfortunate, but if you look at pictures of me in high school, I was very much
sex, drugs, and rock and roll was kind of the thing.
What a weird kid I was, headbanging and stuff. But anyways, I digress. Good show. People should watch that, I think.
Yes, Common Side Effects, very good show. I highly recommend, and definitely is on my to watch for new seasons as they come.
Right. Same was that was just a wild card. I thought of it at the last minute, because sometimes I'll try to get people to watch a show because I don't want the show to die. I want
Right.
somebody to talk about it. I want somebody to spread the word. I did that with Arrested Development 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
Desperately trying to tell everybody to watch it. Nobody is.
Arrested Development is the only show that Dave did not have to tell me to do. He talked about it, and I said, "Yes, I love that show." We were already watching it together. So, but
sometimes it's about I don't want to say survival. Like I think I pushed on Utopia, which is
I was just gonna say
show. It's a remake of a BBC.
Which really irritated me because that really was, for a graphic novel kind of comic book show, really grabbed me. I loved every minute of that first season, and then within, I want to say, 48 hours after I watched it, they announced they weren't renewing it for a second season.
I was you told me that.
Yeah,
you messaged me like, "This is why I don't watch. This is why I don't watch shows." I was like, "Ah, damn it! He's proven right again. Damn it!"
It's definitely that was a really well done show. I wish I could find the British version streaming somewhere. I haven't looked. Oh, is it now?
When there's 2 seasons. It goes a little beyond what the American does. It's very much the same, which is great for the format. It's actually really good. I like the American one a lot because I like the people in it. Dwight's in it, for Christ's sake. Dwight from The Office.
Well, so moving on to the next show.
I want to end with Gem. So what was the last one with
Fargo? Specifically the opening sequence of season 5.
Well, let's preface this by saying that you visited me at one point, and I had talked about Fargo because I think the first season Billy Bob Thornton was in. It's great. The second season, the Range War in the 1970s, whatever, you didn't see, but I kept telling you, like, the show's very good. They're like little 1-hour movies, and I think I tried to I made you sit down and watch the first episode of Fargo. And I think we both fell asleep, to be fair.
Probably.
But that's, I don't blame us. I don't blame the show and stuff. But again, it's me pushing a show on you that I think warrants people to watch. It's really good.
I love the anthology style of Fargo, similar to a True Detective. I like that if I miss a season, it doesn't affect anything. Yeah. Like, I really enjoy that because it's all
5 seasons behind. It's
right. I'm not exactly.
And they can tell succinct stories. That,
I like that. I like, and that's what drives me to movies. Is I like a story that is self-contained and over.
Like so now Star Wars, you go see Star Wars, and then 45 years later, you're hoping that this thing is going to die and stop. You can't keep up with it. Andor, for Christ's sake, why do they have a show about the cleaning lady and the Millennium Falcon?
Hey, let's just
I don't care what Luke's laundry looks like.
Right, yeah. I am not, and honestly, outside of the original trilogy, I don't really care about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I barely care about the original trilogy because of all the new stuff.
Yeah, hype kills a lot of stuff. But Fargo, sorry to interrupt you. Fargo is, I think there's 5 seasons, and I think 2 of those seasons were really good, and then they came out with the 5th season, which I think is actually almost as good as the first season. The first season only suffers from only, and I think it's the best season, but they didn't quite know what they had, so I think their budgets were lower. I think they set lower goals. I think they had a lower idea of what they should try, how far they could push the idea, but still good. But then the 5th season, by that point, they're really rock and roll. And I say specifically the first episode, again, you can't watch the whole 5th season. But I know I was caught up from the very beginning of that 5th or the first season. So first episode.
Specifically starting with that opening scene. So in my real life, I am a teacher, so I understand school board meetings and those
things. Preface this by how the show starts, right? I mean, it opens on a PTA meeting, right?
It's a school board meeting, and everything's going out of control. It's
slow motion.
Slow motion tracking shots of an escalating board meeting chaos. It's like, for a drama, it's a really clever use of a typical horror film technique that really slow, so you catch all the action in slow motion, so it adds to the gore effects. They're not doing the gore, but they're doing the wide lenses, the low angles, and eerie close-ups and stuff. And then it comes in and it focuses in on Juno Temple as Dot and her daughter, and it's all about their escape, and that's
With
when it
her
starts.
best North Dakota accent, you betcha.
That's on my list stuff too. They get up, they get out, and chaos ensues. June Dot ends up getting arrested, right, and all that. But that leads me to say, like, okay, my first impression, it is a strong enough story that I want to watch. However, Juno Temple's Midwestern accent was super distracting.
Was it?
It almost over the top. And I don't.
Is it because you know her normal voice? Because I don't think it's terrible. I mean, I've heard worse. This isn't Keanu Reeves doing British or whatever.
No, this is not dangerous. Was that Dangerous Liaisons?
Yeah, no. Yes,
or
but he does it again.
Time.
I think, yeah, that's what I think what it is. Yeah. He's a heavy accent.
I don't know. I feel like too many people had the accent. And I feel like I've seen a lot.
Right, or whatever. It's Minnesota.
I just don't think every one of them has the accent.
Right, true. I guess that's true.
Anyways, I don't know. There's something about it feels real, feels odd. But the story itself is extremely timely, paralleling all of our real world tensions around like public education and just governance debates in general. We actually recently had here in my area a lady come to it wasn't an education board meeting, but it was a town hall meeting, and just because she spoke out against who was in office, she got drug out by plainclothes policemen who were in the building.
Wow.
Like, these things are really happening in the real world. So it really touches it home. And I think if I were to continue watching it, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to get over her accent and it's going to just kind of disappear and it's just going to become normal, or I'm just going to continually get irritated and it's going to frustrate me.
Can I point out that opening scene, by the way, is just a clever way to kickstart the story. There's fortunately no more political. Well, there's nothing else in it that's taking any stance or anything else like that. She could have been arrested for DUI. It wouldn't have mattered.
No, and there's the really cool little line that when she's arrested and she's in there, she's doing the fingerprints, and she asks that subtle line, so you know it's setting up something. Are those going to go into some national database? Yeah. Oh, I just don't want this to be bigger than it has to be.
It's really good.
So you know you're setting something up, and that's a real quiet line right there. It wasn't broadcast. It wasn't a big moment, but you know that it has power.
Yeah.
So there's some good stuff.
It's good foreshadowing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But the style of that show, it's escaping me who's the one making it. But the style,
Noah Hawley.
That's right. Is just, it's good. It's like Fargo. It's like the movie. Like, if nothing else, they took the feeling out of the film and some of the more eccentric concepts a little bit, but not full Coen, but a little Coen, you know. And then they just threw in some new stories.
I like when a series creator like Noah Hawley comes in and he's going to set the tone because he's showrunner, he's the guy in charge, and he's going to direct that first episode. So he's going to set the tone. Yeah. So now I have an expectation. I know kind of the beats of where the show's going to take. I don't know the story, but I know kind of how it's going to look.
It should always be the creative force behind something who's if they're not making their first episode of something, what the hell are they doing there? How do they have a vision if they're not the ones putting it on the screen? So I don't know. Yeah.
I really and to link Fargo, the TV show, specifically that first season, and because that's the one I've seen the most of, because I actually ended up watching, I think, the first 3 episodes. But a non-Coen Brothers, non-Fargo movie, if you haven't seen 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yeah, good movie.
Has a very much that feel about it. Real life, kind of mysterious, but like it's a very good movie.
Sam Rockwell's in it. And I love Sam
and
Rockwell.
Prince McDormand. You can't beat
toys.
Yeah. So, but it has a very similar feel to link the two sides. So
can I just tell you again, as far as a teaser, I suppose, if you ever were to watch season 1, is you remember the briefcase, the money in the duffel bag in Fargo, right? They do have that in the first season of Fargo, in a sense. Just throwing that out as a little motivation to maybe you check it out.
Go look for it. Go find it.
Yeah, there's a little connection there. Good stuff. I don't know. Like, again, we're at a point where there's so much television that it's impossible to watch it all. Somebody's got to decipher what you specifically would like, and
right, and honestly, I think everybody needs a Dave. I would miss a lot of shows, and I don't mean you specifically, but you need to have somebody who kind of understands knows you would like, and can give a real recommendation, because Dave knows that I'm not the guy that's going to watch Game of Thrones. That's just not my style. But now Dave comes to me to watch The Wire. I'm going to watch The Wire. I haven't yet, really, but I'm gonna.
That's a commitment too. That's such a great show. We want to talk about The Wire for an hour? I'm just kidding.
The two shows that I do have that are actually the next two brand new shows. So I have my comfort shows that I rewatch just kind of to wind down, to fall asleep, those kind of things. But the next two legit shows that I want to sit down and watch beginning to end, The Wire and The Shield. Oh, yeah. I want to sit down with those.
You didn't watch The Shield, huh?
No, not a big. I was never a big Shield guy. Well, I just thought it was good.
When we get to Gemstones, we can talk Walton Goggins, but yeah, The Shield. The funny thing is, it was when FX, the channel, the network, had first started, and I think I caught The Shield on the first night. And if it doesn't catch you from that opening scene, at least spend 10 minutes and watch that opening scene. But it was one of their first shows. They had that, and then during The Shield, they advertised for 4 new shows. They were made by independent companies, independent filmmakers that they were going to put out. One of them was Starved, a show about people with eating disorders, which was, I thought, hilarious. Did not make it very far. It was very funny to me. Very dark comedy. Also, one of them was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There was an advertisement for the first time during The Shield. And it happened to be on, and I said, well, I'll check this show out like opening night, and it's great. Like, The Shield was pivotal in getting us to where we are in, let's call it, the golden age of television. Just like all these other shows are, they build up towards, in time, and I don't know, they'll crescendo. I don't want to say they crescendoed. Like, I would have thought Breaking Bad would be, in my opinion, the top of the mark for me. Mm-hmm. But obviously they keep making really high quality shows. Will they ever make anything better than Breaking Bad? Probably not, in my opinion. But that's just one fat guy's opinion. You know what I mean?
Right. You fat guys' opinions for all you count.
But, I don't know. Like, Vince Gilligan's putting a new show out. Who the hell knows? We'll see.
With what's her name?
Yep. I know. I have struggled with it every time. From Better Call Saul. The one who, I swear to God, why she didn't get an Emmy for any of her work, particularly the last episode of Better Call Saul, when she's riding on the bus. She's holding all these emotions in. It's the most amazing performance I've ever seen in anything ever. And nothing. Better Call Saul won no Emmys? None. Right. None. How is that even effing possible?
Especially because there is an argument that can be made that it was actually even better than Breaking Bad. It's 1A, 1B. It's an argument. I don't particularly believe that, but an argument could be made.
I think it's very, very good. I liked it a lot, but again, it's not for everybody. I wouldn't recommend it to my mom.
For me, I just lost his name. The brother, Jimmy's brother.
Oh, he did it to me. Squiggy, Lenny from
Michael McKean, but what's his name?
Yeah. Are we talking Laverne and Shirley here? Because I think Squiggy. Somebody needs to give him his career kick in the ass. Is he still alive? He's got to be alive, right?
He died. He had MS.
Oh. Well, that's not funny. What's wrong with you? That's pretty dark humor, Josh.
I really like how they handled that Jimmy wanting the respect of his brother, but also willing to, like, take his brother down a peg. Like, there was, I loved that rivalry.
It was, very honest brother, sibling.
I thought that was really well done.
Brother disappointing young. The show was insanely good. Again, as I say, for never winning any awards. It doesn't.
And it's Rhea Seehorn.
There you go. Thank you. Good job. See, it's a weird name, like Austin Pendleton. I seem to forget those names all the time. Like Garrett Graham. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
There's
for those of you keeping track, there is your Garrett Graham reference.
Your Garrett Graham reference. There's always some random name that I can remember really well, and nobody else seems to be able to. Like Stephen Tobolowsky. Like I've been since I saw Groundhog Day. I can remember that guy's name every single time, but so many I can't. So.
Right. No, and I think it's because of Groundhog Day. Needle Nose Ned the Head, Ned Ryerson.
Yeah.
Baby.
I like that Bill Murray looks at him and goes, "Hey, you ever go pro with that belly button thing?" That's the best line in the whole movie.
Great line.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Bill Murray. Speaking of television, a little sidetrack is just this morning. Did you ever watch Police Squad?
Yeah, I watched the original.
There's only 6 episodes, so it's not hard to have watched it. But what I was watching with my wife. She says, "Why didn't they make more of these?" And I said, "Well, they did. They made 2-3 movies, and they're making a new one currently." Yeah. But what a funny show. You know,
Zuckers and Abrams were next level when it came to that kind of.
Then what happened?
Yeah, where did they? But with the there's something about Police Squad. If you not Police Squad, Naked Gun and Airplane. If you can get past the O.J. Simpson thing, the comedy in Airplane, not the sequel, but the original Airplane, and the comedy of at least the first Naked Gun, that holds up and is just as funny today as it was. They didn't have to do anything that was like when you have, was it Florence Henderson? No,
Florence Henderson.
Beaver's mom speaking jive.
Yeah, Florence Henderson.
Florence Henderson. Yeah, when you have her speaking jive on the airplane, the way they handled it, there's nothing racist, nothing wrong about it. It's freaking
Beverly. Sorry, I don't. It's gonna bother me.
Yes. Florence Henderson was Brady Bunch.
And I'm playing the "Leave It to Beaver" theme song in my head. Jerry Mathers as Beaver. June.
June.
Whatever. Dang it.
But
go ahead.
I know Tony Dow was Wally.
Yeah.
Anyways, they were able to do some really, humor that was super edgy then, but holds up today without being insulting to anyone. It's still just a good joke. I really like that. Like that.
Some of it was not complicated. It's you see something silly. The police cars have the writing instead of backwards, like one word is backwards, one word is forwards, so it doesn't make any sense why I would say police car and it would be written in, one backwards, one forwards, because you'd see it in your rearview mirror. But silly jokes, they're just fun little things that they thought were funny to look at, and that stuff never gets old.
And you know what? And actually, it's
the 20s.
When I think back on Police Academy, it's really easy to get over the O.J. Simpson thing, because essentially in the first Naked Gun, he just keeps dying over and over and over again. You look at something bad, so I'm okay with that. That actually worked out all right. Not in hindsight.
Well, did he do something wrong? What happened? Why is this the first I'm hearing of this?
Remember, he stole a bunch of sports memorabilia at a hotel and went to jail.
Oh, that's right. I thought he was just getting it back. He loaned it to somebody for some money. He owed somebody else.
Some money to some Jewish name. Goldfarb. You know what I mean.
Goldfarb. Yep.
Samson.
I don't know. I just happened to be watching Police Squad this morning, and it just made me think how much part of my childhood and early comic interest and development, the Zuckers and the Abrams and stuff were, I don't know.
And I'm still finishing. I'm almost done with season 5 of MASH, realizing that Frank Burns' character Larry Linville really does run its course. by the beginning of the 5th season. So it was perfect time for Major Winchester to take that spot. But yeah, there's that. But that's along with Police, Naked Gun, Police Squad. Ash was a very foundational show for me and probably for you that showed a way to balance heavy drama with some really absurdist, slapsticky kind of humor.
Yeah,
and it did it in a really clean way.
Early dramedy like that, even though that kind of notion had always existed. I mean, look at Chaplin's The Kid. You cry and you laugh at the same time, but to have basically everything have so much dramatically and comedically going on at the same time, like where you can laugh at the pain of a situation even though it's painful and stuff, like that's the way it should be. There's pure comedy and then there's silly, not pure comedy, and if you mix them really, really well, I think that's a harder category for people to define, which I think is what makes it. And again,
it's something that Scrubs did really well.
Very much.
But we digress a little. Let's come back and talk about the big one.
Yeah. So and this is okay. I'll preface this by saying I told you to watch The Righteous Gemstones.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. I didn't care so much for Danny McBride. I didn't watch Eastbound and Down when it was out. I guess I misunderstood Danny McBride. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I think Vice Principals was the first time I think I started checking.
Speaking of Walton Goggins.
Yeah, he's in all of his stuff. He loves them to death. He likes the same people, Edie Patterson, all this stuff. But anyways, and so I heard an interview with Danny McBride. I don't remember when, years and years ago, and I was like, oh, this guy's not exactly who I was picturing. He's very much like you or I. He's just a guy who wanted to be in Hollywood, watched TV all the time as a kid, went to film school. All the people he still works with are the people he went to film school with. In a small film school in North Carolina, I think, whatever it was. And then all they do is make stuff that they want to make. Like, he's living my dream. Now, that being said, he's very grounded, down to earth and normal, which is the opposite of everything I guess I had pictured because I foolishly saw the characters. So what do you bring as far as Danny McBride?
So Danny, very much the same. I am, generally speaking, that character that he plays in a This Is the End or Tropic Thunder or even the couple episodes that I watched of Eastbound and Down. I don't like that character he plays. But I think of him kind of in the same way that I would think of a Bobcat Goldthwait. Bobcat Goldthwait is not the squeaky voiced police academy character we grew up with. He's this super intelligent, very smart, comedic mind, very good at what he does. What's the World's Greatest Dad? He's done some really dark humor shows. Shakes the Clown. I love Shakes the Clown.
Larry the Cable Guy is not a real cable guy. These are just sticky characters they put on and they get stuck with for the rest of their career, which is unfortunate.
And I think Danny McBride is the shtick that he got famous for is not what I like. I do love, so we all know I'm a huge horror fan. David Gordon Green, who directed the first 2 episodes, at least, probably more, of The Righteous Gemstones.
One of his film partners.
And Danny McBride wrote the reboot of the 3 reboot Halloween movies together. Yeah. David Gordon Green directed them. They are 100% doing the things that we would love to do. Yeah. Being buddies, goofing off, sometimes doing something outrageously funny, sometimes doing a horror movie. This looks good, let's do that.
Yeah.
So
projects they want to do.
But his shtick is not the shtick he got famous for is not my
speed. Did you see Foot Fist Way?
No. I know
I only recently watched it. It's obviously the movie Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, I think, kind of discovered these guys, Jody Hill and Danny McBride, and kind of. So that's what the end result came out as Foot Fist Way. I didn't watch it when it came out. I literally watched it not even a year ago.
Yeah, and
But
See, and I just assumed it was going to be that shtick.
Yeah, even to an extreme. But we'll get to that because every character he plays is very much the same. But we'll get to that. But anyways, then he goes and he does Eastbound and Down, and then somewhere in that first season, again, I'm not watching him, but I am hearing rumors. I'm hearing people talk about how fantastic this Eastbound, like they love it. People that I like their opinion, and people who like if you were telling me, and I would say like, really, like okay, sure, but I just still never got around to it. Did you watch Eastbound and Down?
I watched one episode, but again, it was that Dan. It was right now. Yeah. It was the character, and Eastbound and Down should be the show that I love baseball. I am a baseball guy. This should be my show, and I just couldn't get past the character.
Do you? There's so much more going on. Again, I've listened. First, let me just preface this by saying, you should listen to some interviews he's done. Danny McBride. I truly say that. And I don't really listen to. I don't really care for the most part, depending on who. I don't want to hear, where their trip, how their trip to Paris was, but I care a lot about what he's doing creatively, because he's not only mimicking the life I wish I had, but I have. It was eye-opening. Mm-hmm. To think of the way that he does, like the development of the character in Eastbound and Down is if you don't know, it's a baseball player who basically fizzled out in the big leagues and the major leagues, and then kind of like is falling back on it. But he was like, I didn't want this character to have taken a shot and fail. I want this character to have been good enough, but burnt the shot himself, kind of a thing. Whatever. And he has this whole explanation, which is beautifully done. Again, I didn't watch Eastbound and Down until about 2 years ago, where I sat down and I watched most of the first season. I still haven't finished it. Again, that character is off-putting, right? It's the Danny McBride shtick. It seems like shtick, let's just say, but it is off-putting. I get that.
Yeah, and shtick is probably the wrong word because he's not character.
No.
So
I think he would describe it as he loves playing flawed people. That's actually what he says. Every character he plays is extremely flawed. It's like it's playing the villain if you liked wrestling. Right. He likes playing that, but there is so much more depth to these characters than that shtick. You just have to figure out how to work past it, or find the comedy in that. It's the Michael Scott cringe stuff in The Office, where you might not think Michael Scott, he's hard to watch. It's cringy and stuff like that, especially that first season when they made him really awkward and not liked. Yeah, but it's you watch it, you get kind of used to it, and I don't know, like. I guess you start to see the comedy in those things that he's saying that are making you cringe, as opposed to just cringing. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it.
So with that,
did you watch Vice Principals at all?
I never watched Vice Principals. It comes up as recommended for me, but I've never gotten it.
I swear to God, listen to he's on a bunch of not a bunch, but he's on listen to the Smartless Danny McBride interview. He talks about the Halloween movies, I think, or the Conan one. He spends like 30 minutes talking about how scared they were when they got the chance to make Halloween, because they had loved it so much as a kid and they really put all they had into it, all those kind of things. Very, very good. I respect him so much. I want to be part of his Elvis Tennessee Mafia in South Carolina or wherever the fuck he is. That's where I want to be. But anyways, and so he does all these shows. He basically is following like the BBC pattern of putting a show out for 1 to 3, 4 seasons or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think he wants more, but then he came out with The Righteous Gemstones about 4 or 5 years ago. And for anybody who doesn't know, The Righteous Gemstones is basically following a family who are pastors at a mega church in the South. Similar to Joel Osteen. I don't know mega churches, but somewhere in that vein.
He's one.
Living an opulent life and everything else, and then just kind of following moments in their lives, etc., etc. I will preface the entire thing by saying I want to make sure it's understood that they don't punch down, and that it was a very specifically a credo they had, is that they're not going after people for having faith or religious followers. They were not even attacking the people who were the pastors. They're not doing any of that. The jokes aren't there. That'd be too easy. The jokes are in other places. So anyways, I asked you to watch as much as you possibly could of it.
I only got 2 episodes.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't.
It is nothing. So, and it's 100% because it is not what I expected in a good way. It is not going based solely on the little preview trailers that I saw.
Right.
I thought it was going to be far more straight up comedy. This is like, it's dark, it's mean, it's pitch black, and it's comedy. Like, this is not it's not easy humor, like you said. This is finding humor in these really dark moments, finding humor in the humanity, in the mistakes that we've made.
Right.
Those first 2 episodes with the blackmail and the finding out about his at the time, the prodigal son returning, that whole idea.
Oh, yeah. Right.
There's something more there, but I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a lot more. Ha 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 ha! That's so funny, and that's not where this went. I will say that so far, I want more John Goodman. I want more John Goodman.
You get a lot more.
And he's not a huge part of the first 2 episodes.
Can I interject? You know, John Goodman signed on to do the show because he had just started redoing Roseanne.
Yeah.
And Roseanne sent some of those tweets out. Do you remember that whole thing where she being all Roseanne's being all Roseanne? She's being a little bit too Tom Arnold. But anyway, she sent all this stuff out, and then the blowback, they were sure the show was going to be canceled. So he hopped on, and this is just some interview or trivia or whatever, so who knows how accurate it is, but that he agreed to do the show thinking that Roseanne would be canceled and that he was going to need work, which is funny to think that John Goodman would ever need work. Right. But anyways, and then they both ended up going. So I'm sorry to interject. I thought that was a weird little bit of trivia there.
And speaking of that prodigal son character, Skylar
Gisondo.
I love Skylar Gisondo. I've seen him in a handful of things. But the first thing I thought when I saw him, I'm like, oh, good. The faith healer from My Name is Earl grew up to be a faith healer. He's God's little finger. He's God's little finger, the kid who's afraid of his own powers in an episode of My Name is Earl. Yeah.
I like that show too, but
I love that. But no, so all of the subplot characters, the side characters, the minor characters they're all like you can understand them. They don't come in and are given a big backstory, but Danny McBride's 3, I can't remember their names now, but his 3 thugs that he has go into the tire shop.
Yeah.
They move around with, in
One
a
of
way,
them is his partner, Jody Hill, right?
Yeah. But the 3, I just mean the characters themselves, they don't have a backstory, but they feel like real characters. They feel like this guy would really have these 3 kind of, I don't have a thought of my own, tell me what to do characters. They fit so well that you don't need all that extra. The older one with the darker hair, he's just like, not me, I just did that. And he goes, oh no, he just makes fun of it. Like, it's really well done. I really can't wait. Now I can't wait to see where it goes, because it is so much darker than I thought it was going.
I'm rewatching it because I was telling you to watch it, and so we have been rewatching. We're on season 2. We got through season 1 over the last couple of weeks. It's, again, if you didn't watch Vice Principals, this is very much the same tone. And Eastbound and Down, the little bit that I saw was getting to that tone. So I think it's just their style of comedy. It is very brash. If you don't want to hear somebody talk about dicks and cum and all that kind of stuff and be very aggressive, Edie Patterson, who plays the sister in there, is insanely foul-mouthed. But there's humor in that uncomfortableness of how inappropriate she'll say something to her own dad, who's the pastor of this mega church. It's just let me put it this way. There are episodes and moments where they do flashbacks to them as kids. Let me put it this way. The newest season, which I only watched because the last season 4, the first episode goes all the way back to the Civil War. And it's a full episode, hour-long episode. It's one of the best things I've seen on one of the best things I've seen filmed of Bradley Cooper as the ancestor to these people in the Civil War. Just throw that out there. The show is insanely high quality.
It's something like it's only like 33 episodes in total over 4 seasons. It's very easy, and I think it's first episode's about an hour. First episode of the season is about an hour to set it up, and then it's like 35 minutes every episode after that. So yeah,
and the cold opens, like the very first episode, that cold open before the credits start to roll, which I think the credits are amazing for how they open. But if you remember, they're in the wave pool in China trying to baptize 5,000 Chinese people, and the wave machine starts.
It turns on.
And they start fighting, but at just the right moment, they have it queued up to start the, Angels Choir, Righteous Gemstones. That gets better in every episode, to be honest.
And those kind of things, like, the humor in that scene has nothing to do with believing, not believing. It's just a circumstance of life that anyone could have been in, and how frustrated would you be? Like, you're trying to do some big thing. Yeah.
It's bitter, spoiled sibling kids fighting with each other.
And Adam Devine is my least favorite workaholic, but I do like him here.
He's very good in this. Well, and you saw Keith, right? That's the guy who lives with him, the ex-Satanist who lives with him, with 666 tattooed on his chest and a cross on his forehead.
And I don't know anything, but that character is so gay. Like, he's going to be gay, right?
No, but it's my favorite character in the whole thing. Well, I don't know. They don't necessarily gay straight is a connotation that they really focus on for any of this stuff.
I mean, Keith is in love with Adam Devine's character, with that character.
I think Keith is looking for somebody to follow. He
just feels like, because he's always reaching out for that little touch. He just wants.
Yeah, he thinks of him as a godlike figure. Yeah, actually, to be honest with you.
He saved him.
And you'll see why, because that stuff comes up. It's such a very good show. Characters are all eccentric, but well written. The jokes are all good, and you would think when you're making a show about religion and mega churches and stuff like that, that it would be the focus. I can tell you this. An example is in, I think, the second episode, I don't know, or third episode, I don't know. Did you see the casino redo, where there's a shot of they're doing the collection offering, and so the show opens or whatever, and they're up there and they're passing out the collection plates, and so just like they do in Casino, the camera is following that collection plate as people are putting money in it. It's focused only on the plate, and then it shows the plates being dumped into a bin, shows that bin being wheeled up to this room where people are counting it and then making it into stacks. It shows it going into this other room. People are opening envelopes and putting cash in a box. It's exact, and an overhead shot just like they did in Casino. If you remember how they were showing the trail of the money from the tables into the gangsters' hands, basically, they mimic that 100%. But they're not. It's not mocking. Like, I suppose it's mocking the idea of a mega church in general, but and the money that they're making. But it's not mocking the people who are faithfully putting their money in because they believe it. Right. I don't know. I don't know if that was in the second episode. I guess. And
I do like that the sister is stealing the money. She's like, just because I found a way that nobody's caught me. That means I'm
She, Edie Patterson. She's very funny. Again, the same thing. Most of these characters are despicable. Like, I would not want to hang out with any of them, and there's something off-putting in that unless you understand or get the joke. So I think that's basically Danny McBride writing those things. But Edie Patterson, I think, came through from Vice Principals. He worked with her on that. She fits in. I believe a handful of stuff they're doing is either ad-libbed or them messing with each other, trying to make each other laugh or break, and you can kind of tell, but it's way better than
looking through her IMDb. The only thing that I think I ever saw her in was Knives Out.
Oh yeah,
and she's just a very small part as
great movie.
She's a relative who's getting cut out and pissed like everybody else.
Yeah. As
she's not hugely important.
Yeah. She's not integral to it, but she's pretty much everybody in the family's playing the same character basically, who's getting screwed out of the will.
I'm excited for
this. Stop it. Yeah. But Gemstones, I don't know. I have a much just listening to Danny McBride talk at an interview as Danny McBride, realizing he's fucking just like you and I. Like, very similar sense of humor, similar upbringing. Like, I don't know. He just I had a lot more understanding and respect because he's not. And again, I tell people all the time, like, you realize Henry Winkler's not really Fonzie. You know what I mean? Like, you can't buy this character and think they could be fully opposite of that. I mean, Tony Danza and stuff is not.
Henry Winkler is far more. Henry Winkler is far more the coach in Waterboy than he is.
I was gonna say he's the Nevish guy who runs the morgue in Night Shift. That's who I think Henry Winkler is. But
he's the agent. He's the acting coach in Barry.
There you go. That's it. Yeah,
that's
very
who he
much
is.
Eccentric and loving and
just fun and loves life.
God, Barry, what a good show.
That's a great
show.
That's a show, right? I did. That's a show that it was brand new when I was down with you guys. So we watched every episode up to current. So I got to stay current with that one.
And without any hype, which it didn't get as much hype. Shows don't.
It didn't. It was still it's not an easy watch. There's definitely there's definitely some PTSD type trauma going on in there, so it's not always easy. But then like NoHo Hank, and there's some great characters, some great stuff, and some really laugh out loud funny. But it's not always easy to watch.
Bill Hader is brilliant. So I've always so often when something is advertised or even a show I'm not watching, if it's on HBO, I know I expect it to be good. I might not like it for myself, but I expect it to be high quality because they're the ones who kind of helped create this whole notion of hour-long serial shows that are done cinematically and spend the money on it. They put the money out.
And HBO for so long, even the 30-minute comedy, like A Righteous Gemstone generally is, the Flight of the Conchords, the Tenacious D, even like those, they're able to do an edgier comedy. Now, Flight of the Conchords is not anything like Righteous Gemstones, but it is still an edgier kind of comedy. It's a quirky comedy. It's not it's not an NBC show. It's not your TGIF lineup.
It's basically, and the people who have done these shows always say HBO is very good to work with because they don't have many notes or any notes. They just say, we need a product from you. Do what you're going to do.
This is what we expect.
I mean, last week tonight, if you don't watch it already, but John Oliver.
I don't watch whole episodes. I watch all the clips.
He wins the Emmy every year, and he should. His writing staff is phenomenal. Their format, all those things are absolutely brilliant. But I don't think anybody is as hard on HBO as he is. So obviously they're not. And I mean, the level that he pushes his legal team to defend him in litigation, I cannot imagine. But like, again, HBO also doesn't always make the right decision. There was a show called The Brink. Did you ever see that?
No. I'm trying to think of it.
Tim Robbins. I mean, it's got a huge cast of people in it.
I love Tim.
But it was, technically it's a Jack Black show, but it's an ensemble piece. And it was right about when Jack Black was kind of starting to be everywhere. But to be honest, it's super hard to find. They only made one season, which I think is a shame. I think it's brilliant, and I think it's so insanely expensive what they did to make this show. I highly recommend everybody look for it. But to be honest, it's very hard to find. You can find it on YouTube. You can buy it on YouTube.
Really?
And you can buy it on Apple.
It's not even streaming on Max. It's crazy.
And it's an HBO show. I know. Trust me. I went through this deep dive.
No, I believe
really pissed off trying to find it to watch with my wife. But anyways, the same thing. That show was brilliant and insanely topical, and it's so much better because HBO was behind it, even if it was only for one season.
And I do think HBO at times makes the wrong decision as to what show to cancel, what show to keep. Sometimes I don't know if did you ever watch Deadwood?
I'm watching it now.
I love that. Deadwood is the one show I caught. Deadwood right when it started. I loved it.
Yeah. I'm falling back to it now, like in the last year, 6 months.
Deadwood got canceled at HBO because of cost overruns on their big Roman epic that they were doing. So they can't. It's one of those things like man, we overspent on this, but now we're pot committed and we've got to keep throwing money. Yeah. So I think sometimes they're throwing good money after bad to fix something that is already shot.
What
and
was
they
that
ruin.
show called?
I can't.
I didn't watch it, but
is it just called Rome?
Oh, I think it was. Yeah,
it was called Rome.
Good job. But here's the thing: just because it's an HBO, I'm sure it's good enough.
Yeah.
Even if it's not meant for me.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I'm sure it's good. But to me, I was so into the first 2 seasons of Deadwood that when I found out that the 3rd season was going to be the last season because of this money snafu thing, and the fact that it wasn't going to get a real ending until 20 years later.
Yeah. They brought it back for a movie. And
they made a movie.
A last season or just the movie?
No, just a movie. Just a movie. Though the one thing that is hard to watch in that show is the what's his face? Jeffrey Jones as the guy who runs the newspaper, because it was already known about his past, and they still gave him that. So that's kind of hard. Like, how do you allow that? But the rest of that
forcible separation in your mind, I think, is necessary for some art.
And
for Michael Jackson anymore, you know?
Right. No, and I think the hard part is casting him knowing what he is.
True. Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to go watch a movie that Kevin Spacey made in the 90s because we didn't know. And I can't discount the work of the hundreds of other people that made that art. It's another thing to support anyone who would choose to put him in something now.
Well, I'm only halfway through season 1, so don't go spoiling anything for me. But anyway,
the only spoiler I'll give you is no. I really like it.
Yeah, I always knew it would be good. What's the lead? What's his name?
Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy Olyphant. I didn't know who he was then. I don't know if he was anything before that, really, but I love him now. Like, over time and stuff, I associate him with so many great things. But I happened to fall back. It was on HBO months and months ago.
Yeah,
I was like, I always heard this is good. I think you told me it was good, and so I just happened to watch it. I was like, this is actually really good. It's dated. If you didn't watch it then, it feels dated. Like, oh, this is how they made stuff in the early 2000s, which is a curse. But it's like watching something from the silent era, you know?
Right. It is different. It is. Very dirty, very.
I love that. My whole thing is to be enveloped in the atmosphere of where they're setting.
100%. And I really like. I lost his name, but the guy from My Name Is Earl. Not My Name Is Earl. Raising Hope. The dad.
Yeah. Even still, I don't remember, but
his character, he plays 2 different characters in the course of the show, and I really like him. I love I love just about everything about
the guy who plays Chucky, who's the doctor. The guy who plays Chucky in Child's Play, what's his name?
Oh yeah.
I know. We can't do this whole thing.
I'm on the spot and I don't have a clue.
Every time. But anyway, so I watched Deadwood, and I'm afraid if you watch The Shield now, it would feel that way a little bit. But I've watched it in the last few years, but I saw it early, so I associate it differently.
Right. It's like Wings.
Very much. If I try to get my wife to watch, if I want to introduce her to something that I watched in the 70s, 80s, or whatever, I kind of a lot of times have to break into why it was made the way it was, what else was being made around it, to put that atmosphere and that time frame around it, if it makes sense, or else sometimes things just look dated. And I don't mean like watching Cheers and you're like, some of these jokes are old, how come they don't have cell phones? I'm like watching Night Court and you're like, why is this not funny? Why is this awful? Why did they make this? Why are they remaking it? All those kind of things, you know?
I don't understand the remake. I do like the first half of Night Court. The first 4 or 5 seasons.
I like them. You rewatched it
last year and a half.
Really? Wow. You're the guy.
When John Larroquette was winning every Emmy every year and had to be asked not to be considered anymore, like that, those first couple seasons, and then it kind of tails off after that. But I did enjoy
the cast. I thought all that stuff was great.
And
Multicam
Marty
is very
Post
hard,
was like,
but
she's like childhood.
I loved it as a kid. As a kid, Night Court, like, you know, I think it came on right after Cheers, right before Cheers.
Yeah.
So my family would watch on Thursday night, must see TV or whatever. It'd be Cheers, and then it'd be Night Court, and I always liked Night Court, and I thought Cheers was boring.
And if you watch it, you'll find little things here and there. A random episode where a young 12 or 13-year-old Pamela Adlon shows up.
Oh.
See, there's little things every now and then that show up.
She was around when she was younger. She's popped up in some stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I gave it a shot. Like, it was on something, and I tried to rewatch some Night Court, and
it came on, it like random, all of a sudden all of this, every season, 8 seasons or whatever, was available for streaming on Prime. So it was my background show for a while. And as a background show, it's perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I don't have
outside and the TV's playing inside and you don't have to watch it. That is flawless.
I have my headphones on, focusing on the podcast I'm listening to. It's great.
Yeah. While you're driving to the store and it's playing at your house, entertaining your animals. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like, you know, multicam is very hard for me.
Yes. Yes. I think unless it's like Cheers or something that brought something else to it, it doesn't hold up. It just doesn't.
I think, and I've heard, love Jason Bateman to death. You know, love him. He, on their podcast stuff, often talk to other actors about how much they miss doing multicam shows.
The ease of it.
The ease of it, and the consistency for the actors and the production team and all that stuff. But the thing is, very rarely is it come off okay. They did it for 30, 40 years, and hit and miss in that, but they don't hold up very well, and they've tried so many times to reboot it. Now, you think Seinfeld was brilliant. I think personally it's my favorite sitcom that was ever made, of that style, for sure. Why can't they re-achieve that? I don't know. And again, shouldn't it be the audience who's deciding if something? Shouldn't you be making the best product, not the easiest product?
Yes.
And I understand it's just a job to them. 100%. Right. I don't blame them, because I want the easy work too, 100%. Yeah. But Arrested Development is going to go down in history as the best thing Jason Bateman ever did.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Teen Wolf 2, maybe. I don't know. Like, I mean, he's great in Teen Wolf 2. But anyways,
seriously.
Oh yeah, Ozark. I mean, Arrested Development is still it's always going to be. Yeah. But I don't think if he made a multicam show, it would be very unlikely for it to ever achieve that long living cult status. And it's because so much more effort has to be put in. It's harder. But as an audience, with the amount of television options and shows and things, like, you should be pushing the bar and how far you want to go, right?
And
my opinion, again, I'm not an actor, so what the fuck do I know?
But speaking of Arrested Development, for anyone that watched the 3 seasons on Fox and loved it, tried to watch the Netflix season when it first came out and didn't like it, give it a try again, because Mitch Hurwitz and his team took it back, recut it, re-edited it, moved it around, and absolutely perfect the way it is now.
The story, right? Basically, Netflix was coming out with streaming. It was one of the first things. I got Netflix streaming because of Arrested Development coming out. But I think their contract was just to have 8 episodes or 10 episodes, and he was only going to focus on catching up with the characters did.
One character each episode. Yeah.
And closing these characters out. And that's what we originally saw. And it was disappointing. It wasn't what I expected, but I was thrilled to see the characters again.
100%.
So, once he had the leverage and could actually rework it, that's what he did. But I don't blame him for that, just to be clear.
Right.
You know,
it's almost like he said, this is a terrible idea Netflix gave me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to film this the way that I'm going to eventually edit it when I get the rights back.
Well, I don't know why there were talk for so many years about making a follow-up movie, right? Ron Howard's always said he was on board for it. Everybody else, it's always been hanging out there like a maybe. But Jason Bateman, very recently, I heard somebody ask him about when they're going to make the movie, and he says never, ever. We're never, ever going to make it. And I was like, that's a very never, ever, ever.
That's
Like,
a
something is happening. Like, Mitch Hurwitz is like, fuck that. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Do they hate
fans or
do they hate Jeffrey Tambor? Maybe.
Yeah, but they could write him out. I don't know.
Oh, and what's her name? Well, they don't have to because the person that hates him, Portia Rossi, doesn't want to act anymore. The mom has died.
Yeah. I guess that's
Only a shot that is too big now.
Yeah, well, and
Michael Cera.
Michael Cera is huge. By the way, have you seen the new Wes Anderson trailer? We'll talk. But anyways, Arrested Development came on the scene, and again, it raises the bar for what as an audience I expect things to be. So I don't know. I would love to see a show that I like as much as Seinfeld that's multicam. Or in that vein, because it's possible. But
a Seinfeld, Cheers, something like.
If your focus is just on making it easier to make or cheaper for the studio wants multicam. 100% they want multicam. It's easier to control the budgets. You get your home by 5. Like, it's just very simple and easy. It can all be done in one studio just about, unless there's some remote work. But it doesn't mean it's the best product. You shouldn't have those constraints. But unless you learn to live in those constraints, like budgetary constraints, you know what I mean? Just my one man's uneducated opinion. So far outside of the industry, that this is as close as I'm ever going to be to touching fame.
You're making these things for the audience, and if the audience doesn't want that, you've got to stop making them.
Or is the audience taking what they get? Does that make sense? Like, are they used to it? Like, if you only gave everybody really crappy television for so long, like let's say the 1980s, and you just keep reproducing. What's that?
I think there's got to be a reason that the only multicam TV shows that are ever successful anymore are Chuck Lorre shows.
Yeah, financially and yeah, but are they?
They're only because of name recognition now. These are characters that you shoved down our throat for so long that we kind of got used to, so we're okay with that.
Are they artistically successful, or are they financially successful?
Financially, they're the ones that get people watching. But it's only the story shows.
It can be, very much. I don't. That's where I guess that's the whole point. It's there's to think that they can take a bad idea industry in the first place and use that as the staple again. They did that in the 80s, and it was awful.
Yeah, it was.
You shove enough down the throats, and that's all people are going to eat. But now people have other options. There's other restaurants that opened up. They can go other places. I don't know. I love television, man. It's my favorite thing of all time.
I think we've hit our time for this episode.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll shut down the lights.
Love it.
We covered my introductions into Fargo, The Bear, Severance, The Righteous Gemstones, and probably my favorite currently was Common Side Effects. Definitely a lot of different vibes, but it was a lot of fun to break down. So if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to leave a rating, follow us, and share Real Talk with all your friends and movie fans. It really helps us growing and the ability to bring episodes like this to you. And we always want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these shows? Or are there any series you think we should jump into next? Hit us up at Real Talk on Threads, Instagram, and YouTube. And let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Grab some snacks, kick back, relax.
And let's watch some TV.
See y'all.
Underneath the sunscreen gleam, talking reels and all their schemes. Dusty scenes and dreams unfold, stories told in shadows bold. Gritty plots and whispers tight.